Hey doll friends, welcome back to Lady Dynamite Creates. I'm Tiffany and today we're continuing the Chibi Monster High series with a voltageous ghoul whose style is stitched to perfection. None other than Frankie Stein. Let's get started. Once again, I'm using the Dolly Geeks Anime Chibi BJD as my base. Of course, Koki here is missing a few key components that make Frankie, well, Frankie. So I decided it was finally time to learn Nomad Sculpt and transform her myself. I ended up designing Frankie as a mismatch of G1 and G3 stylings, pulling little elements from both designs. I sculpted in the stitches and seams that separate her different parts, added her prosthetic leg, and even recreated her original G1 shoes, just scaled down into a chibi style. I'd like to thank Yes That's 3D Printed for sponsoring today's video. They were kind enough to send over some of Etalon's doll maker resin for me to try out, and I thought this Frankie redesign would be the perfect project to test it on. First things first though, while this resin is a gorgeous creamy skin tone, it's not quite the minty green Frankie is known for. So I'll mix up a batch of resin and start adding colorants until I land on that perfect shade. This is actually my first time using third-party resin on my Hey Gears Reflex printer, so with Adam's help over at Yes That's 3D Printed, I was able to find a profile and settings that work perfectly. I'll have those listed down in the description box as well as a link to their website. Once the resin is fully mixed, I pour it into the vat and start the print. A few hours later, it's ready for post-processing, and I immediately make a big mess pulling it off the printer. Whoops. But honestly, I was just so excited to see this doll start coming together. Back upstairs, I've given all the parts a good sanding, and I'm really impressed with the quality of the resin. I did have one little blemish, right on the face of course. Totally my fault though, since I mixed the resin myself, I should have let it rest longer before printing. A tiny air bubble got trapped and left a small hole. Luckily it's an easy fix that doesn't require reprinting the whole part. I just fill the spot with a bit of resin, cure it, sand it smooth, and it's like it never happened. Pretty neat, right? Now it's time to start on the wig. I wrap the head in cling film, add some stretchy fabric, and absolutely drown the thing in glue. Once that's set, I can cut out the wig cap. Off camera, I prepped a ton of wefts. I am not repeating my Claudine situation and having to make more halfway through the wig. I start layering the wefts at the back of the wig, but I also jump between the front and the back since wigs are still something that I'm kind of learning as I go on. The plan is a side-parted fringe with clips on the sides and a half-up style in the back, so I'm trying to pay attention to the direction of the wefts and where the fringe will start and stop. A big thank you to my amazing Patreon supporters for being part of this journey with me. Your support truly means so much, and I'm incredibly grateful for every single one of you. Angel Bookwalter, Awkward Bird, Katie Lee, Deborah Sweeney, Jay Zur, Stephanie L, Dancing Johari, Wednesday, Vix Mini Studio, Cozy Cat, Ellen Daria, Kitsy, Oak Magpie, Tara N. Once the wig cap is full, you can see there's still a few edges peeking through. To fix that, I glue a couple of wefts to the inside of the cap so that they can fold over the edge and create a nice clean finish. The wig is finished, but it still needs styling. I've already pulled the top half into a messy little half bun and tucked the rest out of the way so I can focus on the front. Using a needle and thread, I tap down the fringe into the shape I want, sewing it directly to the wig cap to hold everything in place. To finish the look, I add some 3D printed details and a few jewelry charms as hair clips. So I've ran into my first problem with patterning stuff for the Frankie doll, and it's the edits that I made. Adding the bolts to her neck, I added them a little bit too far down. I was trying to add them far enough down not to interfere with the movement of the head, but inadvertently made them too low and clothing cannot go on. A piece of paper barely fits underneath them to pattern stuff out, so I've gone in and redone the edits to this model and changed it up to be a little bit higher, and I'm getting it reprinted now. Now I can finally start on the clothing. For the shirt, I had already sewn the sleeve cuffs during a previous failed attempt. I attached them right side to wrong side so that when the cuffs are flipped, the pretty side shows. I hemmed the edges of the lapel and collar piece, sewed the lapel onto the shirt, and then hemmed the front placard. Next, I attach the sleeves, then combine the pieces so that they form the layered button-down shirt look. I fold the shirt in half and sew up the side seams, but I leave the cuffs open for now. Once the shirt is flipped right side out, I can finish sewing the cuffs. Doing it this way hides the seam allowance neatly inside the fold so it isn't visible. Then I hem the bottom edge and add a Velcro closure to the back. The collar goes on last and the shirt is finished. I'm honestly really proud of this one. It's probably one of the cleanest things I've sewn at this tiny scale. To finish it off, I add this little belted holster that I made off camera. It was definitely a challenge since I wanted it to stay removable. For the skirt, I needed custom fabric, so I recreated the original G1 plaid. Once again, Kate & Co. Designs did an amazing job printing it. You'll find her shop link below, and I also added this design to my Spoonflower shop. From there, I jump right into cutting out my pattern pieces, hemming, gathering, and attaching them to the skirt base. Then I hem the top edge and add a Velcro closure to the back. And just like that, easy peasy, the skirt is finished, and honestly, it's super cute. No outfit is complete without a cute set of kicks, so it's time to paint those shoes I sculpted and printed earlier. I start by giving them a nice white base coat, then go in with black to paint the soles and add the stripes. And let me tell you, those stripes really tested my patience. Trying to keep a steady hand at the scale is no joke, and there are so many of them. By the end, I was definitely kicking myself for adding so many, but hey, they look great now, so I guess it was worth it. Now it's time for the face up. I prep the face with 3 coats of Mr. Super Clear UV Cut Flat, letting each layer dry before moving on, and once everything was ready, I could finally start bringing the face to life. This is usually the moment where everything slows down a little bit for me. The earlier stages of the project tend to be a bit more chaotic. There's modeling and printing, patterning, sewing, and glue everywhere. Things get remade multiple times, and I usually spend the first 2/3 of the project just figuring out how to do things. But once I get to painting the face, it's kind of my quiet crafting time. At least if it all goes to plan. There's something really calming about focusing on small details like that. It's one of those activities where a couple of minutes can turn into an hour before you even realize it. I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy this hobby so much. It gives me a chance to sit down, slow my brain down a little, and just focus on making something with my hands. It's also a nice little escape. Sometimes just setting real-life problems and everyday chaos aside for a bit and letting myself focus on something creative helps me clear my mind. When everything feels like it's moving really fast all the time and life feels overwhelming, having a quiet moment to work on art like this can be peaceful. And honestly, sometimes the quiet parts of a project are my favorite. It's just me, a tiny paintbrush, and a little bit of patience while everything slowly starts to come together. So I'm just going to keep working through these tiny details here and enjoy the calm part of the process. I wanted to take a quick moment to give a little shout out to my daughter and her art. She's incredibly talented and is always creating something new. I've been encouraging her to start a YouTube channel to share her artwork and her process, but she's not totally convinced yet. So if you could drop a comment and tell her mom actually might be right, I'd really appreciate the backup. The face-up is finally finished. I think she turned out so cute, and I love the little smirk. It gives her the perfect pop of attitude. She still needs size, so that's what I tackle next. I 3D modeled the bases ahead of time and added a little lightning bolt catch light. Since I gave Claudine crescent moons, it felt only fair that Frankie got something equally dramatic. I start with the green eye since Frankie has those iconic mismatched eyes, painting the outer rim a deep green and blending a darker shade towards the top and lighter tones at the bottom. Once the painting is finished, I dust a little mica powder over the eyes for some added sparkle and then top them with UV resin to create that glossy dome effect. After a quick trip to the curing station, those eyes are finished and I have to say they're absolutely fantastic. Next up is the body blushing. Frankie has a lot of sculpted details going on, so I really want to make them pop. Using the same colors from the face up, I blush along the seam lines, paint all of the stitches, and add subtle color differences to different sections, so she really looks like she's been pieced together. Cue camera shake in 3, 2, 1. Yep, that wobble you just saw was my head bumping the camera. I kept trying to get closer and closer to see those tiny details and just kept bumping the camera. And by this point, I am definitely regretting the sheer number of stitches I sculpted because painting them all took forever. With the body fully blushed, I can start adding the chrome details. I originally tried using a chrome marker, but I ran into major issues, so I had to wipe it off and switch to metallic spray paint later, which worked way better. And that wraps it up. Chibi Frankie Stein is officially complete. I'm especially obsessed with the mix of preppy goth and a little bit of 90s fashion in Frankie's overall look. This project was such a joy to work on, and I'm really glad all of you encouraged me to turn it into a series. I already can't wait to tackle more of the ghouls in this chibi style. Frankie isn't available anymore because one of my Patreon subscribers snatched her up during their early access offering, but I do have a few other goodies waiting in my Etsy shop if you'd like to take a look. Thank you so much for spending a little time creating alongside me today. Every comment, like, and share means more than you know. It really helps keep me inspired and excited to keep making and sharing these projects with you all. Until next time, remember, always be creating.